Whoa! Take it
Hello,
over. Take it over, Mr. Sid.
hello. It is me, your true health phenom, SP3. We are live on the Sportskeeda, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for another edition of Smack Talk to review tonight's WWE SmackDown and AEW Rampage. I am here with the legendary manager himself, the wrestling icon, Dutch Mantell. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. We got a little news tonight. We're not being joined by Rick Ucchino because he had a family emergency. A member of his family, I think, his mother had to go to ICU, so he had to excuse himself tonight. So, Rick, I know you're not listening, but if you are, my thoughts are with you and your mother, and I hope everything is okay. And as for me, talking about close shaves, you missed everything this week, Sid. I was stuck down here in Florida, me and this hurricane,
Yes. How are
and I'm
you?
sitting. I'm okay, but I'm just lucky because I'm sitting right above Tampa, and that Ian was headed directly toward Tampa, and about 6 or 8 hours before it was supposed to make landfall, a coup wave came down from the north and turned it east. So it went really south of me about 125, 130 miles. But man, some of those towns down there, it was horrible. It just ripped them apart. So my thoughts and prayers are with them. You ever been in a hurricane?
Yes. We've
It,
experienced a hurricane once or twice here in New York, but I echo what you said. Definitely our thoughts and prayers to everyone who is being affected by Hurricane Ian. Also, want to say, thoughts and prayers to Rick. He's dealing
yeah,
with some family, so definitely want to send thoughts and prayers to his family, and of course, thoughts and prayers to the family and friends and fans of Antonio Inoki, who announced it was announced earlier today he passed away. Do you have any thoughts or memories of Antonio Inoki, Dutch?
well, I never worked for his company. I always worked for like Baba and another shoot company, AEW, whatever it was. They like to kill me. But I met him one time, very nice guy, very nice man. I don't know if he could speak English or not. I just said hello, and he said hello. And we were just in a position where we could say hello to each other. But he was very legendary, not only in Japan in the wrestling business, but really in wrestling all over the world because he was the one who promoted that North Korea wrestling match with 100 and I think they said 160,000 people there. I couldn't imagine that. And he also had a match with Muhammad Ali, a
Yep.
legendary match. So, and he was a politician. Was he a politician later after wrestling? He'd gotten into wrestling. Then he got into politics.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the order, but he was involved in politics while still, running, being the promoter for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, highly respected figure in Japan, and highly respected figure in the United States too. Amongst the wrestling brethren. So again, I mean, I don't like to lead off the show with a lot of bad news, but my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and Mr. Antonio, rest in peace, and may God be with you. That's all I can say.
Yes, and we appreciate anyone who is coming to us tonight after WWE SmackDown, AEW Rampage. Once again, if you are experienced affected by Hurricane Ian, let this be your escape from it for a little bit. Me and Dutch talking about
Okay.
tonight in
Let,
professional wrestling, and of course in the live chat. Sound off. Give us your thoughts on tonight's two shows from WWE and AEW. And of course, your super chat donations is the best way to have your comment highlighted on screen, especially if you want to hear the thoughts of Dutch Mantell with what you have to say. We do have a early super chat donation here from Sam Dutch, who says, "Hey, Sid and Dutch, will you recap AEW Rampage, AEW Battle of the Belts, and SmackDown next week?" That means our show would start at midnight, Dutch. So
midnight again.
Yes, next week they have AEW Battle of the Belts is starting at 11 p.m. Both
I don't know.
AEW Rampage and Battle
I'm,
of the Belts is going to
well, I'm
be
gonna tell you,
live.
I don't know if I can take AEW for another 2 hours. I did it the other week, and it's a chore, buddy, to really take it. So let's get into it this week because I think I'm just going to say off the top here, I think AEW didn't have a good show this week at all. To me, it was boring. I don't like the 3-man teams of the trios. I mean, it was the 3 tag teams, but I don't know how you get anybody over that way. To tell you the truth, it's hit or miss. I mean, he can do with what he wants to with it. But me, talking as a fan, I could have give less about any of those teams, to tell you the truth. I kind of like the Acclaimed a little bit, and Blade and Butcher. Is that their names?
Yeah.
But the other 2 guys, I can't even tell you who they are right now. That's how much it affected me. But let's start off with SmackDown. So lead me off.
Let's talk with SmackDown.
Leave it past so people can roast me later on.
Let's start with SmackDown here. And of course, remember, drop a thumbs up on the video, share it with your friends. Subscribe if you are new to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook as well, drop a heart, a like, a smile emoji, an angry emoji, a laugh emoji, however SmackDown and Rampage made you feel tonight. Let's start off with SmackDown. They were in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, I believe.
But they were in Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, excuse me. The Edmonton was Monday. See, Dutch is on point here, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, I lose my mind sometimes, and sometimes it comes back. I thought they were in Winnipeg tonight. So
yes, they were in Winnipeg. They opened with Canada's own Sami Zayn of the Bloodline, the honorary Uce, teaming up with the enforcer of the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, versus Ricochet and Madcap Moss, the match that was set up last week with the backstage segment. I like this one. Everyone worked really hard. It had a ton of heat, especially with the fans really loving and treating Zayn and Sikoa as the faces. They were booing the hell out of Madcap Moss when he was on offense on Sami.
Well, he's very booable anyway.
That is also true.
I would boo him if he came out. I'd boo him like hell. I don't.
They showed her
Canadian, and he was home.
Exactly. They showed a recap of the shirt presentation from last week. The fans loved Zayn throughout this matchup. Bunch of Sami chants. Ricochet got an early advantage with a standing drop kick. He was showing off his athleticism throughout this one, but it came down to a blind tag by Solo Sikoa as Sami Zayn was getting offense from Madcap Moss. Blind tag by Solo Sikoa. He tags in. He hits a spinning heel kick, and then he follows up with this spinning solo on Moss for the win to earn the Bloodline another victory here. So I thought Zayn, he trash talked Moss after the match, and then Moss heard enough. He grabbed Zayn by the neck, but until Solo made the save and he beat down Moss until Zayn stopped him. So what did you think about this opening match here and the post match?
Oh, well, Sami Zayn doesn't have bad matches, period. He's going to get. He's in Canada tonight, so that's why they cheered him. So he's going to get a reaction from them there. And in the States, people don't like him, so they will boo him. But I think Solo Sikoa, is that his name?
Yes.
I thought they were when they got into it at the end because he was kicking the hell out of Moss. It was almost they led you to believe that he was going to turn on Sami there a little bit too. Then they stopped. They are actually doing this. Well, they've already done the angle almost perfect. So whatever they do now, you're going to notice it. And they did a lot of things differently tonight than they have been doing. Where did the big run-in happen?
What do you mean? With this match, or you mean later on in the night? Well, that was with the McIntyre and Theory, I think you're thinking of.
Maybe. But they didn't play the music before they came. They played it as they were coming, which is much, much better because I think that gives a little more believability to it. I mean, the music operator, if you really break it down, the music operator could see who's getting ready to come. He could get to, all you got to do is push a button, he could get it ready. But, but before you even see the guy and they play music, and then he shows up, isn't that just a little bit that it tips you off just a little bit that this is planned? So even though it is planned, try to take it out of the people's minds that it is. And it works the same. Actually, it works better. So they had a good match, and they're following up the angle they've been working for 6 or 8 months. And I'm really excited for when they shoot this thing. How's it going to come off? It'll come off great because Sami be the most over baby face they got.
Most definitely. And
I got advice to Sami. Sami, at least walk by a gym every 3 or 4 weeks. Please don't pull that shirt off anymore. My God. He looks like a recovering cancer patient. And I shouldn't say that, but he's white. He's pasty, pale. Please go in the gym. At least pump a little bit of iron.
We did get a little bit more from Sami throughout this night. We got back from the break. Zayn and Sikoa were walking towards the Bloodline locker room, and out came Jey Uso, who opened the door and let his brother enter. He wouldn't let Zayn in, though. He got in his face when Solo went into the locker room, and he noted that Zayn has everyone else fooled except for him. He said, and Zayn tells him to take it up with Roman after pointing to his shirt, and then he walked into the Bloodline locker room, and Jey didn't look happy once again. Yeah. I just love this storyline. It gets better, and this was a great follow-up from what we saw last week. So what did you think?
Let me go into our dressing room, our locker room. And then he just walked by him, and Jey was like helpless to stop him. Jey is the one that doesn't like him, right, Jey?
Yeah.
And Jey didn't look happy at all. So they're like I said, they're building it right. And I mean, now if I'm a new fan, let's just picture this is how you got to do angles. If a new fan sits down and he sees that, now he's saying, "Wait a minute, what's the heat between the Uso kid and Sami Zayn?" Now he wants to know.
Yeah,
and that lets you in on it. And then somebody can tell him, or he could go back and watch. But that would. To me, if I just saw that part of it, that would interest me a little bit to even investigate it a little farther. That's when you know angles are working, when people start saying, what is really going on here? But it was a good spot. I don't know who came up with that, but it was good.
So next we had a segment which was kind of a twofold here, Dutch, where you had Karrion Kross and Scarlett. They are cutting a promo, doing their little pre-taped kind of vignette with their, images and stuff. We see highlights of the fireball and Kross locking on the cross jacket on McIntyre. He promises to defeat him in the strap match at Extreme Rules. And then at the end, we get a quick flash, and it's a QR code, which means that it's another clue for this White Rabbit mystery, which has been kind of drawing a lot of buzz, a lot of anticipation from the fans online. And that QR code led you to a video that played of Porky Pig and then a dead pig. And then it was in Morse code as well. And then at the end, it showed a wolf, and then it showed the big bad wolf. And it could be interpreted in any number of ways. I believe the Morse code was Ezekiel. I think it's like Ezekiel reborn, something reborn. The second word of the Morse code was reborn. I don't know what the first word was.
Ezekiel. Now Ezekiel's missing.
No. It wasn't Ezekiel. It was another scripture name, reborn. And then the other interpretation that I saw is that it represents the 3 little pigs, where the big bad wolf came and tore down the first 2 houses that were made, of sticks and all this stuff, but couldn't bring down the third house that was made of bricks. And the 2 houses represent the original Bray Wyatt character, the Fiend, and now we have the third house being built.
Again, I'll repeat what I said last week. Don't make it too difficult. this makes you actually look. And the only ones who are going to look are your hardcore fans. But you don't need to interest the hardcore fans as much. You need the interest the casual fans.
Yeah.
And this may be catching some of them. But if you wanted me to go and look at a QR code, I guess you call it, and then a Morse code, I say, screw it. I mean, I'm just going to watch the rest of the show. And when it happens, it happens. And somebody said, oh, that was what that White Rabbit stuff and going down the rabbit hole and doing all this stuff was about. I said, oh, okay. And then I would say, well, I knew it all along, which I didn't even investigate it. And actually, they're disinteresting me in this now. It was interesting for a while. Now, it's, did you ever like to do homework? I didn't do homework. I listened in class, and like listening to the show and watching the show. If I don't understand it there, I'm not going to go back and research it later on. That's just me, because I'm a lazy bastard.
Well, there was a report earlier this week from Fightful Select that talked about, WWE being very happy with the success of last week's SmackDown due to the hype from these White Rabbit teasers. Last week's SmackDown doing 2.5 million viewers, the highest viewership for the show of 2022. So very good stuff with the hype of the White Rabbit mystery.
But that White Rabbit thing didn't show up.
No.
See, they promised one thing and didn't deliver. So now the people are saying, that's what I'm saying.
Well, they did say in the report from Fightful Select that the possible reveal date for this White Rabbit is going to be at Extreme Rules, because the Extreme Rule graphics that they put on social media does have like the lantern and the fireflies in the back of several of the matches that they're advertising.
Okay, so Extreme Rules is a week from tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Well, they may keep them interested then, but, if when you promise something and you don't deliver, those are the casual fans, again, that are tuning in. And when you disappoint them, they say, screw it, I'm gone. That's what I'd tell them. But if they had 2.5, but they advertised that it was 923, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't there. So draw your own conclusion. I'll draw mine.
That is fair. Backstage, we get Kayla Braxton interviewing Austin Theory about cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Theory blamed Brock Lesnar and Tyson Fury for his failed cash-ins at Clash of the Castle and SummerSlam. Theory starts burying Drew McIntyre for losing at Clash of the Castle, saying that he's a bigger loser. And of course, McIntyre was standing behind him, and then he demanded Theory to meet him in the ring now. They go to the ring, they have their matchup, and McIntyre's pretty much beating the crap out of Theory. It really wasn't much of a match. And then Theory basically comes out with the Alpha Academy from Monday Night Raw, and they get involved about less than 2 minutes into the matchup. As all three men are jumping them, you get Johnny Gargano come out for a surprise appearance. Big pop for him. And then an even bigger pop for Kevin Owens, who comes out to even the odds. And this sets up our main event of the night, which is a 6-man tag with McIntyre, Gargano, and Owens versus Theory and the Alpha Academy. What did you think of this? I wasn't for the match, but I definitely like the post match to set up the main event.
Well, I like the setup. Theory's a good talker. You want to slap him. And that's what a good heel is. He's not really a big heel, but you want a lot of guys in the fan. They're thinking they might be able to beat him up, which they can't. But somebody, you just like to reach up and slap the taste out of his mouth. And instead of McIntyre laying his hand on his shoulder, I wish he'd have laid the sword across the shoulder. That to me would have been better. But it was a good setup and a good schmoz, and you got Kevin Owens in there and Gargano. And I've never seen Gargano work before. I got to see him in that. But that was a good segment. Pretty good.
In the back again, Max Dupri approached Maxine and the Maximum Male Models. They apologized for disappointing him last week, but promised to win the title tonight. He thought they got a title shot against the Usos, but they meant holding the longest pose title in Canada history. Dupri walked off. Hit Row walked up and made fun of the models as they held their pose. And then throughout the night, we see them in various backstage segments. We see Kevin Owens walking by them, still posing. We see Shinsuke Nakamura kind of see where they're looking at with Sonya Deville. And then finally, at the end of the night, we get them about to hit the record. They're looking at the seconds. They're about to hit the record. And then out of nowhere, Max Dupri pulls up. He jumps Mansoor. He then mocks them. He throws his belt at them that has the M on it. And he says, "This wasn't for me. It probably wasn't ever for me. Yeah." Basically the catchphrase of LA Knight. So we got all the things that have kind of put together over the last couple of weeks, and we see the payoff. We are getting LA Knight. We're getting rid of Max.
Thank God. It was dead on arrival. It's still dead. And I thought, well, there might be, I still held out hope for them. I said, well, there might be something. And then Top Dollar come by and they made fun of them. And when you got a comedy act, they're not going to draw money. They're not going to get over, because they don't have any plans for them to get over now. They were just giving them something to do. They're actually pretty good models. They do their job well.
Yeah.
But so you think LA Knight will go back to being Max Dupri will go back to being LA Knight?
Yeah, I think this is what they've been building up to. You know, he said the whole night thing and then was looking off like, okay, we're getting there. Then he said the LA thing when they were in California and was like, okay, we're getting closer. And then finally you had this moment here. I think all of that adds up that we're definitely going to see LA Knight back.
Did Ozzy just put that note back up from Ozzy? You have it. He said, am I the next male model president? Ozzy, I'd like to find you right now so I can slap the taste right out of your mouth. I would. No, I'm not going to be the next male model president. If I was going to do anything with them, I would be one of the male models, don't you think? You know?
Absolutely. Dutch needs to take over the maximum male models under new management.
Yeah, that's right. I don't let LA Knight go. I don't care. I can make the team. So, but it wasn't too bad. It was okay. I kind of chuckled just a little bit, but not enough to draw any money.
But that's not the only thing we're getting back from NXT, Dutch. We got a backstage promo with Shotzi, noting that she's sick of damage control. She's not the type to sit on the sidelines weighing her options. She says she's going to roll down to the ring and she's going to put her boots to step into stomping out Bayley later tonight. And this tease that she was going to roll to the ring, which meant we were going to get the tank back. So I was happy to see that later on in the night. We'll get to that. We got the tag team match of Hit Row versus Los Lotharios. This was too short to kind of amount to anything. It was really just Top Dollar kind of dominating the smaller heels. The heels looked good for the amount of time they had offense, which was probably a couple of seconds, but Hit Row got the win with the heavy hitter in about 2.5 minutes. Any thoughts?
It was just a match. It was a fill-in. You know, when he did the double slam, I think it was last week or the week before, Top Dollar. This time he didn't have it good. He had the guy hanging low, and he dropped him. And that's what the Athena girl did on AEW. I'm not trying to jump the deals. She tried to do it and almost killed Britt Baker. Did you see that?
Dropped on her nose. Yeah, it broke her nose.
I mean, but anyway.
They cut to Michael Cole and Corey Graves. Michael Cole talking about
I miss Pat.
Oh, well, yeah, most definitely.
Corey Graves is about as interesting as a wadded newspaper. Nothing. And he says nothing that's really, I mean, I don't know if he already has these lines or whatever. You know, Cole is good, but Cole's got a different job. He's got to be the quarterback of that announce team. But Corey Graves, he doesn't give him anything to bounce off of. Pat did. They were a good team.
he feels like a very manufactured version of a 2022 heel commentary. Like it feels very manufactured. It feels very rehearsed when Corey Graves talks on commentary, and it stands out more because we're so used to Pat McAfee's just genuine enthusiasm behind the desk that we just don't get that with Corey Graves anymore.
Well, I don't think they have to coach McAfee. They're probably coaching Corey Graves. I don't know. I know when Vince was there, he's going to coach him, but there's no difference from Corey Graves when Vince was there and Corey Graves tonight. He's still in that same mediocre mode. And I don't know why he's even an announcer anyway. It baffles me because he's not, to me, he actually hurts the match. Juan, we don't care who you like, buddy. You're not the announcer here. Send us some money.
He did say Pat was better though. So,
okay,
so
I'm sorry.
He did agree. He did agree with that. But the reason that I'm pointing this, the reason I'm pointing this part out is because standing directly behind Cole and Graves was a fan holding a large black sign with the words "Revel in what you are" in white letters. They never called attention to it, but it was clearly another White Rabbit clue because "Revel in what you are" was a part of a tweet that Bray Wyatt put out, showcasing a paint. I think it was like an artist design of the Fiend, and he put the quote "Revel in what you are."
Well, again, since I didn't do my research on it, I knew it was a planted sign. I just don't know what it means. And I didn't even know that related to the White Rabbit.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I don't care. So, but I'm glad you told me that. But I knew he stayed there about 10 seconds and then he took off.
I love that. You don't care if everyone else is interested in the White Rabbit mystery. You're over it. You're just done.
I am over it.
It didn't come last week when they advertised it, so you're done.
Well, they didn't deliver. If I'd bought a ticket to see that and they didn't do it, I'd be pissed off. It's like saying, "Oh, well, go to this movie. You're going to see the movie, and all of a sudden you don't see the movie. You just see a bunch of clips for next week." Well, you didn't buy a ticket to see that. You bought a ticket to see this White Rabbit stuff.
This is true.
Well, I don't know if they're, wrestling fans are funny. They'll get pissed off, mad. I'll never come back to this crap again. Guess what? Next week, they're back there. I said, all right, I got over it. I'm going to give them one more chance.
I'll give them one more chance.
And they go in there again. And promoters know that, and wrestling fans, they even know that about themselves. But you always should deliver what you promise. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair. We get a video package of Liv Morgan putting Lacey Evans through a table last week. Kayla Braxton then interviews Ronda Rousey in the locker room. She called Morgan Hooters Barbie. Then Rousey noted that she's already dangerous and she's probably the most dangerous woman with just her hands in the world, and she will be even more dangerous with a baseball bat in her hands.
Mm-hmm. And then Liv comes down with a baseball bat, correct?
Exactly. Connected everything.
Connected it up.
But before that, you had Ronda Rousey defeat Natalya. This only went about 3 minutes, but this was short. This was fun. It was just the right amount of time for what it needed to be. Natalya got a good pop because it's in Canada. Rousey also got a good response as well.
Did you see the glasses?
Yes.
And she put the glasses on the kid.
Yep. Very nice touch. Very nice touch.
Yep. Bret Hart touch. So it was good.
We got a submission exchanges.
It almost looked like it wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
They just went out there and it actually looked real. It looked good. And then when, of course, now they're telling the story. Now Liv comes and with the bat. How did that bat end up in the ring?
I think it bounced off the floor and bounced into the ring because I didn't see anybody throw it in the ring.
But it was a great spot for it. I don't know how they did it. if that's where it was supposed to go. Or maybe she just somehow the camera went off of them and she pitched it up there. But it was in the spot it needed to be. So I'll give them that. But I really like the fight because I have said before, you know, they need to run some people out to separate some of these people. It saves the fight for later. And they did that. And then about the bat, she threw the bat away. Then they were leading her off, and then Liv popped up. Screw this.
I wish they would have shot that differently. They should have zoomed in on Liv coming up. At least when she was like her head was showing, you should have at least zoomed in because you could see it behind Ronda. But if they would have like had the other camera kind of get a closer shot on her, I think it would have been a hell of a shot for like production to get that. But I loved everything about this post match. Liv Morgan,
they got her in the background. I think it'd be either way, it would have been fine with me. But sometimes when you zero in, now you know. But if she's coming up, I thought she was going to stop.
Yeah.
And then she said, screw it, boom, jumped on her, pulled them apart again. And the people were kind of with that.
They were.
I think that match may have a little steam on it now. Just a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like it has because Liv's showing a different side of her, showing a little bit more passion, a little bit more of energy into this, and the fans really went crazy for the brawl. So this was definitely a success that definitely got more attention and intrigue going into their Extreme Rules matchup coming up next Saturday. So definitely, I know a lot of people have been liking the build-up. We got Lori saying I like the build-up. We also got a lot of people who saying that they like that brawl, like Safet here. So keep those comments coming in the live chat. Super chat donations, the best way. Have your comment highlighted on screen. Let's talk about what we got next.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but they kept talking about some people that are not there tonight.
Yeah.
They're talking about Florida. They were caught up in that hurricane. It was a bad one.
Yeah, Raquel Rodriguez was one of the notable people missing, as well as Dakota Kai and Io Sky. You also had from the Brawling Brutes, Butch and Ridrick Holland. So yeah, a bunch of people were missing due to the Florida storm. Same thing with AEW this week as well. So definitely affected wrestling in general, especially for the major two companies, because so many talents live out in Florida for both of those companies. The next segment we got in the back, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Johnny Gargano. We did get a reference to the history between McIntyre and Owens from a couple of weeks back on Raw. So I did like that. We got McIntyre joking about Gargano trusting Owens. Owens walks down the hallway and he sees the Maximum Male Models, like we said earlier.
Didn't he say something like, "You're talking about me? I know you're talking about me." Didn't Owens say something like that?
Oh yeah. He was like, "You're talking about me," and then McIntyre was like, "I'm joking, but we could both agree that Theory needs to get his ass kicked." So they agreed to kick his ass later on in the main event. Then Owens walked down the hallway. We got the little bit with the Maximum Male Models. He says that he needs to raise his hand to make the pose more effective. That was great. That was a great line. That was a great line. And then Owens crosses path with Sami Zayn. You hear the big prop from the Canada crowd. And Owens told Zayn that he needed to get a different shirt, buddy. Great little one-liner. That's all we needed. That's all we needed.
Why did you tell him you need to get a what?
You need to get a different shirt, buddy.
Okay. And that was good. Because it's just those little run-ins with no big connection. It's just there. And the fans connected in their head. And it was good. Whoever put that together, that was good. So Definitely. Who was next?
Next was another good segment, in my opinion. You had Imperium come out for a promo segment. They come down to the ring. Ludwig Kaiser mentions their problems with the Brawling Brutes. Giovanni Vinci praises Gunther and calls him a real champion. Gunther then promises to defeat Sheamus next week on the season premiere of SmackDown and end the Brawling Brutes. Sheamus interrupts. He comes to the ring alone. He notes that Butch and Rich Holland are stuck in Florida. He says said it's okay because he's in Winnipeg and he challenged Imperium to a fight. Sheamus fought off Vinci and Kaiser with the shillelagh. He then got in the ring and started trailing shots with Gunther. I love the energy from the crowd, how electric it feels whenever those two stare down with each other since their match at Clash at the Castle. Yeah, Sheamus set up for the bro kick, but Kaiser and Vinci recovered. They hold Sheamus up as Gunther beats on him with vicious chops, and then he delivers a powerbomb and walks off. Sheamus gets on the mic as they're leaving the arena, and he says that, is that all you got? He challenges Gunther to come back. The fans break out into a loud Sheamus chant, and then Imperium gets back into the ring. They jump Sheamus, and then Gunther knocks him out with the shillelagh. I thought that this was an effective go home segment. This is better than some of their pay-per-view go home angles. So I thought that this was really good, and it just really makes me feel like Sheamus and Gunther should probably be on the pay-per-view instead of next week, but I'm down to see it for free next week.
Well, yeah, I'm wondering if they're putting them on the show next Friday, right? They could still make the pay-per-view.
No, they mentioned there, and they showed the graphic. They're doing a 6-man good old fashioned Donnybrook match.
Donnybrook,
Imperium versus Brawling Brutes.
Well, I wonder why they didn't put them on the pay-per-view. They got a reason, but they got chemistry between them. I mean, they had it at Clash at the Castle, and you said you felt it out, the chemistry. The people rumble. People start moving. Oh, now we're going to see it. We're going to see it. They want to see it, but we'll see where it leads. So at least they have a connection to the fans, because I think when they go out, when Gunther goes out or Sheamus goes out, they can read the room, they can read the arena, and they know they want them. So of course, and Triple H is watching. He's reading the fans. They're reading what's in the ring, and he's reading them. So there's a lot of reading going on in these arenas. So that's how bookers do it. But they had a great match at Clash at the Castle. And I don't know where they're going to go from here, but I would definitely not separate them this early. But I think them going away for 2 weeks or whatever it was, get away from it, then going back to it, but the fans didn't forget it. They still remember that. And it's been, what, a month ago?
Yeah, going on a month now.
They've been involved that much with each other. Except
they have.
But outside the ring.
Yeah.
They were both like seconds outside the ring. But they were still in your line of sight, so they're still on the fans' mind. But I really like Gunther. And Sheamus, I was kind of lukewarm on before I saw him work with Gunther. He don't mind laying it in and taking it himself.
No.
He's a big old boy, and Gunther is too. So my hat of respect is off to both those guys.
Do you think Gunther, and in considering what the landscape is now in WWE, could you see Gunther being like the undisputed Universal Champion?
I could. See, they needed heels. And Gunther's a hell of a heel. Karrion Kross was filling that spot. But I think Gunther now is past him. That's what I think. I mean, I'm not of Karrion Kross's interviews. I think he just talks. He's a good talker, but he's not really. It's something missing there. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know what it is.
That's fair. We got backstage promo with Bayley real quick, where she noted that Io and Dakota are stuck in Florida, and she promised to defeat Shotzi later. We then got Michael Cole and Corey Graves discussing Antonio Inoki passing and talking about his controversial WWE Championship title reign, as well as his legendary fight with Muhammad Ali. I did like them, taking time to actually announce that and talk about it on screen. We got Bayley versus Shotzi next, Dutch. This one, I was looking forward to this, and I felt like it was a little bit disappointing. It didn't seem like they got on the same page here. Good response for Shotzi coming out with the tank, with Cole getting very excited to see the tank back. We got a little bit of back and forth. Bayley took control of the matchup. She cut off Shotzi on the middle rope. She then yanked Shotzi off the corner by her leg, and then Bayley then hit the rose plant for the win. After the match, she continued to attack Shotzi, and then she hit another rose plant. She brought in a ladder to preview the ladder match at Extreme Rules, but before she could attack Shotzi with it, Bianca Belair came down, making a special appearance on SmackDown, the Raw Women's Champion, and then Bayley tried to give Belair the rose plant on the ladder, but Belair reversed it into the KOD, but Bayley was able to escape by grabbing onto the ropes and getting out of the ring before she could hit it. So little preview here, little hype for the ladder match at Extreme Rules. Someone that doesn't watch Raw a lot, you got a little bit of a preview of that. What did you think about the post match, and what did you think about the match between Bayley and Shotzi here?
Well, it was a match. I wasn't real. There's not a lot of steam between them. You know, the people may pop initially, but then they're quieting down. I really like when she put her in the ladder, and like she was going up, and then Bianca came in. I'm thinking, wow, I've never seen that before. I thought, like somebody coming off a ladder. You ever seen that? Somebody in it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, I've never seen it. Did Matt Hardy? Not Matt Hardy. Did the Hardy kid do it?
I think they have done that spot where there's someone in the middle. I think with like Edge and Christian, they've had them in the ladder and stuff. So yeah.
Well, if you hit it right, the ladder actually protects them. But not the way they've had that Shotzi in there. She was like chunked in there. I thought it might cut her in half. But it was a good segment. So it got my attention, especially the last part of it. So you got to keep in mind, I've been in this business for like 40-something years. I didn't watch every match. I may have seen parts of it. But some of that good stuff they did, I'd have to watch it back on tape. So, but SmackDown tonight overall was a pretty good show. Overall.
Yes. And they closed things out with the 6-man tag team matchup that we spoke about earlier or touched on earlier. Everyone worked hard in this one, and it kind of highlighted each person built to the baby faces, kind of hitting their big moves. Nobody in the arena thought the heels had a chance of winning this one, but this one was a lot of fun. Alpha Academy, especially Chad Gable, I thought he really looked good in this one. Theory continues just to be a punching bag a lot of these times, and then the finish
he's becoming a star
by being a punching bag.
Yeah, but he can do that. If you watch him, Sami Zayn went out and he's been a punching bag for 10 years basically. And Theory, when they do something with him other than putting the suitcase with him, I mean, he will mean something. He really will, because he's a good talker, great worker, and he'll do any. And how old is that kid? He's young, right?
Yeah, he's only like 22, 23.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is he's a star in the making, and you got to pay your dues when you get in, because if somebody else didn't want to do something, they said, well, hell, he did it. Look at him. Look at where it got him. So, sure. But I SmackDown overall had a very, very good outing tonight.
He is 25. He's 25 years old. So,
I remember when I was with TNA, he sent some stuff in, and I was going to book him till I heard he got booked with NXT. He went there. Did he go there first?
He went there, I believe, I want to say 2020 or 2019. He went to Evolve first. He was in Evolve.
Okay.
Basically that became basically like a training ground for NXT. But yeah, like I said, the finish was wild. You had Alpha Academy. They started isolating Otis with double super kicks. They tried to put him through the announce table. Then Gable made the save. He started hitting nice little suplexes on Owens, threw around Gargano, but then Owens hit a stunner on Gable on the table, and then in the ring, McIntyre hit the Claymore on Theory as he tried for the rolling drop kick.
And
And then
the
after the match, McIntyre
camper missed.
grabbed it. Yeah,
The
they missed the spot.
Totally missed it. And that's why I'm saying is Kevin Dunn still there?
Yes,
He doesn't miss stuff like that.
He does sometimes.
Was there one time during the show that the lights went out?
Yes, during the opening matchup when Ricochet got thrown into the timekeeper's area, like the lights went out. It looked like they were about to do a spot, and then it just came back on, and nobody mentioned it.
Well, but we noticed it.
Yeah, of course.
But see, SmackDown doesn't make many mistakes, so that had to be one. But they missed the Claymore tonight, big time.
They definitely did. They definitely
did. Replayed it, but we got it. But they had a good match, a much better match than I thought they would have.
It was a fun match, probably the best match on that show for sure. But yeah, it was a good episode of SmackDown overall, building stuff to Extreme Rules, and everything that needed to kind of be effective was effective on the show, despite me having a little bit of nitpicks on a couple of things. But let's get into very quickly, just run down what happened on Rampage here.
Wait a minute. Let me go to sleep.
Okay, keep those comments coming in the live chat as we run down what happened on AEW Rampage. They kicked off things immediately with action. You had the Acclaim defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Butcher and the Blade and Private Party. This one was kind of fast-paced. Everybody kind of getting their own offense, getting their moments to shine. You had Private Party with a good sequence of offense, kind of mimicking the Hardy Boys with a couple of moves with like poetry in motion. They then hit like a skull and bones, a net breaker into the swanton move that was really nice for a near fall. The Butcher and the Blade looked like they were close to having the advantage, but then there was a series of dives to the outside. You had Caster come off the top rope with a crossbody onto all the opponents. He tossed Blade back into the ring. Bowens hit the arrival, and then Caster followed up with the mic drop for the win for the Acclaim to retain the AEW World Tag Team titles. And yes,
the scissor
me, Daddy Dutch. I thought that this was a fun opener. I thought the Acclaimed looked great. I thought they were the one team that looked the best in this one, and they were just ridiculously over as they always are. What did you think?
Again, it's almost like to me, it's cluttered. Who were the announcers tonight? Same ones?
Yes.
They sounded different. Was Jim Ross there?
Yes, Jim Ross was on commentary.
Did they show them at any time?
I want to say once. I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Well, the announcers kind of confused me. Anyway, what did that guy say, Ozzy? Well, Ozzy, thank you for making a sane comment for once. But tonight, for me, I mean, SmackDown was a better show than Rampage.
I'd agree with you there. I disagreed last week. I said on last week's show. I thought definitely Rampage. I thought Rampage was a better show. I thought it was even, honestly, last week. Both shows were really good last week. This show, yeah, I thought SmackDown was effective and had some really good stuff on it. This show also had some good stuff on it, but definitely a step down for what we got last week with Grand Slam.
One of the places where AEW really slides down that scale is on interviews, because they don't have long enough and they don't really describe anything. All of a sudden, what was it? Andrade went in there and was talking to somebody, his manager was, And if he loses, he takes the mask off. And then he said, okay, by that, you'll leave AEW forever, I guess. Is that it?
Well, we got in the back Lexi Nair. She's trying to interview Hangman Adam Page about his AEW World Title match with Jon Moxley in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Evil Uno and 10 from the Dark Order are also there with him. And then Andrade interrupts with Jose the assistant. Andrade challenges Dark Order's 10 for a match on the anniversary of Brody Lee's last match on next week's Rampage, and dares 10 to put his mask on the line. 10 accepts. He shakes hands with Andrade, but then holds on to him. But he says on the condition that if Andrade loses, he leaves AEW. Then we get Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway interrupted to alert Andrade to some potential contract tampering from Matt Hardy with Private Party. I thought that this was a rare occasion where this was an effective backstage segment because it kind of got a couple of things accomplished. It set up the match with Andrade at 10. It further progressed the whole story of Matt Hardy and Private Party's reunion. And as well, this whole stipulation with 10 next week plays into the rumors that's going around that Andrade has asked for his release and wants to leave AEW.
Brother, I don't know how in the hell you tie all that together like you do. Because I was saying, I mean, what to me gets me to want to see this match? The guy pulls his mask off, okay. I'm okay with that. But then he says, yeah, if I win, you leave AEW. And he just stood there like, hey, that's not part of the deal. He didn't even say nothing. He just looked confused. And then the other guy, what's his name? He stepped in. What's his name?
Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway.
And he said something, and I'm thinking, well, I'm totally confused now. I don't care what you do. When that match comes on, I'll wait till I hear a bell ring, and I'll come in here and see what you come up with. So it actually, again, I'm going to use this word again. It disinterested me. I don't know if that's even a word, but if I was interested before, I'm disinterested now. And remember, I've actually, I guess I would say, complained, but the interviews are not long enough at all. I can't even get into it. Anyway, I didn't like it. So go ahead.
We got after the opening matchup. We got a backstage interview with Lexi Nair with the Gun Club and Stokely Hathaway, and W. Morrissey was there. The Guns mocked all of the different tag team titles that FTR hold, and then decided they do what everyone else does: leapfrog the number one contenders and go after the AEW World Tag Team Championships.
I don't get it. Why you say you got to watch calling a tag team old? Because if you have a match with them and they beat you, an old team beat you. And if you beat them, well, hell, you beat an old tag team. See, once you call them old, you can't win. So, but I guess they didn't have anybody tell them that. So if they can make the rules, we're just going to jump FTR, the champions, which everybody is supposed to be aiming for to take their titles. We'll jump over them and we'll go another way. Again, I just lost it. Again, disinterested with that interview. If they would take some time, you've been around AEW, right? Do they go over these interviews? Do they practice them or what?
I don't think they do any practicing, and most of the guys most of the guys kind of write their own stuff. So
yeah, but you can't have the inmates running the asylum.
I agree,
because then they're gonna say stuff to make them look good. But you need your angle to get out there, and it's not getting out there. At least in WWE, everything is connecting now. But see, the matches in AEW are okay. It's the interviews that are scattered. Again, my opinion, they can do what they want to do. It's his company. So, Tony, if you get some time, call me and I'll tell you how to do it.
There you go.
Don't ask me to come up there. I'll just tell you how to do it. You're on your own.
Lexi Nair tries to interview Jade Cargill, who's with Layla Gray. She throws Lexi Nair out of the interview, but then Jade is interrupted by Vicky Guerrero with Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir. Vicky suggests that the last time that Nyla and Jade were in the ring, yes, Jade won, but she didn't actually pin Nyla Rose. So she says that if she wants a real challenge, Jade was talking about she hasn't been challenged in a while, so that she faced Nyla Rose. So like that, Jade kind of accepts the challenge after some dispute. So I think that would be a very fun matchup. It's something new and different for Jade, where Jade kind of is just overpowering to everyone she faces. You know, you're not going to get that when she goes against Nyla Rose.
Well, I kind of understood that one. If they'd have slowed down with it or had just a little bit longer, they could have made that work. Because I'd like to see Jade against Nyla, or Jade against, and she's already beaten Shafir, right? Shafir, what's her name?
Yeah, Marina Shafir.
Yeah, but I'd like to see Nyla Rose in her, because that has a little bit of edge to it. So I'd like to see that. That interview was actually the best of the night. That one there, I kind of understood it. All the rest of them just went into the ether. Because I guess they're letting their guys write their own stuff. They don't have a writer there.
No.
Or somebody to kind of help. Brother, even in the independents, they have somebody telling them what to say.
No, they have like Tony and like the agents and producers. They tell them like, you know, what they want you to accomplish, but they don't give you like a script of what you have to do.
Okay, we're doing a Hollywood movie.
Huh?
We're doing a Hollywood movie, and you go out there and you're a killer. I say, go out there and act like a killer. Just tell him you're going to kill him or something. And if that's all you get, you don't know what to do. Plus 45 seconds. Nobody can do it in 45 seconds. Hell, you couldn't take a Broadway actor and do it in 45 seconds. But anyway, I bitched enough about that. I bitched 3 months for it, but it hadn't changed.
We got Lee Moriarty with Stokely Hathaway and W. Morrissey versus Fuego del Sol. This wasn't much to this. This went less than 2 minutes. Moriarty was a little bit more aggressive. He gets the win with the Border City stretch. Commentary talks about him wanting a shot at Daniel Garcia's ROH Pure Championship. And then after the match, W. Morrissey picked up Del Sol with a claw hold and then chokeslammed him down to the mat.
Mm-hmm.
Not much to see there. This was my favorite.
Has Morrissey had a match on TV yet?
Not since he officially signed with the company. He had one before with Wardlow back in May.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think they might be able to get that guy over.
Oh, they could. Just
take your time with him and don't. Go ahead.
This was my favorite match on either show. I will say, Dutch. Jamie Hayter versus Willow Nightingale. I like that. I loved a lot of this so much because this was two people that the fans just organically are into. And this was late into the show, late into the taping. They did 2 hours of Dynamite and then had to stay through like 30, 40 minutes of Rampage already. And the crowd still got up. The pop for Jamie Hayter when she came out was loud. There was a lot of Jamie Hayter chants during the matchup. Willow Nightingale got to stand out with her fits of strength. She hit a nice little Death Valley driver for a good little near fall. She started to go to the top rope for a moonsault, but Britt Baker grabbed Willow Nightingale's leg to distract her, and then Hayter hit a tremendous waist lock to her from the middle rope and then delivered a massive German suplex, held on to her, and then grabbed the arm and hit a short-armed ripcord lariat for the win. I thought this was a really good match with both ladies' strength being highlighted.
I think Jamie Hayter was a little too strong for her because that Willow girl was big. I mean, and she went up because Willow, she's a hell of an athlete. That's my stupid dog playing with this toy. But she went for anyway. the deal, the slam. But she went up too easy. I mean, I would have that Willow. The girls should have a hard time getting her off her feet because she probably weighs at least 200. Don't you think? And
Willow?
she doesn't.
No, I wouldn't say that.
What does she weigh?
I would say like 180, maybe 190.
Oh, okay. Well, 180. But still, she's a lot bigger than the other girls. I would have them, and I don't mind the move right her up, but she did it. She did it so smooth and so strong. Because Jamie Hayter's not that big.
No.
But they did have a good match. That Willow girl has a good future. She has a pretty face, nice smile. Because, you know, what wrestlers have to do, they have to, I talk about this all the time. They have to connect. And she connects with the women. She connects with the guys. She connects with the older people and the kids. There's no class in there that she misses because they all like her. Because she could be your neighbor, she could be your friend, you could work with somebody like that. So, but I think she has natural connectivity, and they can do a lot of stuff with her. But that match is probably the best match on the show. You're right.
And then we got a series of like promos and video packages. First one was for Warjo, the tag team of Wardlow and Samoa Joe. We then got a video package of Swerve Strickland attending the Rolling Loud Music Festival in New York, and he's still upset about losing the tag team titles to the Acclaimed, and they suggested that he might interrupt the Acclaimed's National Scissoring Day on Dynamite next week. And then we got a promo. Probably my favorite part of this whole entire show, Dutch, was the promo for the AEW World Title match with Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley, where Page is talking about, the AEW fans. That's the one thing that means the most to me. I can't wait for them to be behind me. It's all about them. It's not even about the title. It's not about the match. It's about the AEW fans being behind me. And then the cameraman lets Hangman know, you do know this match is going to be in Cincinnati. And he was like, oh, really?
That was good.
Just his deadpan response was like, that made me laugh more than anything on either show.
I thought he said something like, oh shit.
yeah, he did.
Something like that.
He did.
That was. But
that was great.
And that had to be a planned spot. So that was good.
Yes.
They also did if you need help, get help. Mental help.
That was good too.
Which is pretty good. So what's that referee's name that referees there, the girl, the lady?
Aubrey Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She did it. Yeah. She probably needs some mental health anyway. Some mental help. Really?
What?
They're in wrestling. They all need mental help.
Okay. Finally, the main event.
I've been around them.
Okay. Finally, you had Roosh with Andrade and Jose versus John Silver with Alex Reynolds. The finish came with Jose. He got on the apron after John Silver got a really close near fall off a brainbuster. Reynolds quickly pulled him down from the apron. Andrade distracted Silver, and then Roosh floored him with a forearm and then hit the bull's horns and got the pinfall win. After the match, Andrade and Roosh put the boost to Silver and Reynolds. Evil Uno and 10 ran in to make the save, but the Butcher and the Blade came out to help their boss. So Hangman Adam Page ran in to even the odds. He fought off Andrade's boys, and then he had a face-off with Roosh. He tried for the buckshot lariat, but Roosh ducked out, so he hit the buckshot instead on Jose to close the show. I thought this was a perfectly fine, yet unremarkable show, but I did like the main event as well. I thought John Silver, he looked really good once again.
Tell me
what do you think about Roosh?
Well, I want you to tell me about him. I've never seen him before.
Roosh was a top star in CMLL. His family is kind of like Mexican wrestling royalty. His dad was a wrestler. His brother Dragon Lee has been on AEW before. He's a former Ring of Honor television champion. He's won titles in Mexico as well. He's best friends with Andrade. His other brother is the former Sin Cara. I think you were probably around when he was around in WWE. That's his other brother as well. So yeah, they're like Mexican royalty. Roosh was a top star for CMLL and had one of the biggest drawing feuds over in Mexico with LA Park, La
Yeah.
Parca. And that's where he really like made his name. And then he came over to the United States in like 2018, 2019, signed with Ring of Honor, quickly went on a winning streak there and won the Ring of Honor World Championship from Matt Taven. And he held the title for one of the longest reigns, mostly due to the pandemic, but he had some strong matches with like Shane Taylor and Brody King, as well as Bandito, who he eventually dropped the title to. And now he's here in AEW, and he officially signed and got the All Elite hashtag this week.
Okay, he signed with AEW, but Tony Khan is taking over Ring of Honor, right?
Yes.
So he will help Ring of Honor, don't you think?
I would think he would be one of the guys, you know, if he's going to become a guy like Andrade, who seems to be not happy with the amount of matches he's going to get, having Ring of Honor there where he can have a bunch of matches does help.
Okay, let me ask you this. I don't want to get too tied up with it. Malachi Black, did he leave or no?
Malachi Black officially announced on a live stream on Monday that he has not was not granted his release from AEW and that he will be back in AEW very soon. He is just taking time off from wrestling in the ring.
Well, they said he left. His partner left. So you can't listen to anybody till they tell you. And we don't even know what he said was true. So we just have to wait and see. So anyway, I think overall tonight, SmackDown was good. AEW, you were right, unremarkable. Good show. They worked their asses off. But it's an unremarkable show. They have things they need to improve on, like the interviews, because the interviews are very, very important. You just can't just throw them out there and want people to figure them out. Didn't I talk earlier about don't ask me to figure it out? You tell me what you're going to give me, and if I like it, I'll watch. But don't let me try to figure it out myself, because, hell, I can't even figure out my own damn zip code sometimes.
Well, we will figure that out, and you will try to make your way back here next Friday for another edition of Smack Talk, Dutch. Please let the people know where they could find you and everything you got going on, Dutch.
Okay, I'm on YouTube now. It's WSI, Storytime with Dutch. I get on there, and it's a podcast, and I go on there, and I just tell old stories. Well, not old. I tell the new ones from WWE, and it's just wrestling stuff. It's wrestling oriented. I don't get political. I don't get anything. And the guy that does it with me is a great co-host, and it's doing well. And you can find me at Dirty Dutch Mantell at gmail.com, and you can also order the University of Dutch. See that? That's a diploma from the University of Dutch, and it's got the stamp down here. And guess who the dean is? The dean is Dutch Mantell, and the provost is Zeb Coulter. So
very nice.
Just write me at dirtydutchmantell@gmail.com, and you can have this, I think, and I'll ship it, pick up shipping. I think it's $40 or $45. But these have to be printed. But it looks good, huh? You mean make you one, Sid?
Yeah, I need one. Put on my wall.
Put it in the frame and put it on your wall. So when somebody was arguing wrestling with you and they said, well, where did you get your degree? And you said, well, I got mine at the University of Dutch. Where did you get yours, smart ass? So, but I think as wrestling fans, they'll like that. So if you want one, get in contact with me, and I'll send you one. Where are you going to be?
You can find me at True Hill SP3 on the Twitter machine. Tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, we got True Hill Heat 195 with special guest Jeremy Bennett, our old friend that was here on Smack Talk with us of Sportskeeda Wrestling and the Lost in the Midcard podcast. He's going to be joining us as we talk about all the big news. Malachi Black not released from AEW, the edict of no AEW releases, more Right Rabbit mystery, and more. So check us out next week. Shout outs to Rick. Hope all is well with him. Hope all is well with everyone who was affected by Hurricane Ian. And thank you so much for watching the show. Remember to drop the thumbs up on the video, share with your friends, subscribe if you are new to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. For Dutch Mantell, for Rick Cucino, it is me, your Trill Phenom SP3. We will be back here No, we won't be back here next Friday. We will be back with a pre-recorded edition of Smack Talk for next week, as there's going to be 4 hours of wrestling, and Dutch needs to get some of his beauty rest, and I do as well. So we will see you on a pre-recorded edition of Smack Talk next week. So for Dutch Mantell, Rick Cucino, SP3, this has been Smack Talk. We'll see you next.